people need to understand that every time they walk in through those doors, it's costing a lot of money to just get that new patient. Welcome to Livestream. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Plains, with my co-host, Jeremy Applegate. How you doing today, Jeremy?
Another week in the books. I think that's going to be a tagline for me. Another week in the books.
Well, we made a lot of progress this week.
Oh, man, we were crazy busy this week. We had a lot of good meetings.
A lot of great meetings. Some sad news, but...
Yeah, for sure.
I spoke to him yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd that go?
Well, he's pretty decisive on what he wants.
Really?
Yeah, I'll talk to you later about it. But, today we have a great topic, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. The cost of retention. And I think that it's interesting. I think people are going to say, oh, retention of what? Retention of what? And I think that we really want to talk about patient retention, customer, client retention.
Well, that's correct. Since COVID, since 2020, we've been, when I started my business, I started it in 2013, 2014. And, I had a hybrid approach to bringing in new patients to the business and retaining them, right? After COVID, you've had rising inflation.
Yep.
The cost of goods has gone up. Marketing has gone up.
What hasn't gone up?
Everything's gone up. So, especially wages.
Yeah.
Especially wages. So, there's been such a shortage in the workforce that we've been forced to raise rates, employee rates by 3 to 5% as an organization.
I think that's a struggle for the for the entrepreneurs out there is, all these additional costs are taking place. When's the right time to raise the price? You're going to have to at some point, right? When's the right time and how much? And, that's a fine line there. Don't you think? That's a juggling act, I think.
It is. And I'm still struggling with it because, like I was saying before, the business model that I created back in 2014 is totally different than what we should be doing if we were opening up a dental practice right now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But our patients are already used to, the promotion, the free new patient exam, the complimentary implant consultation. So, people need to understand that every time they walk in through those doors, it's costing a lot of money to just get that new patient. I evaluated probably a couple months back, and every new patient is costing anywhere from $150 to $200 per new patient just to walk in through the door.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And you're right, because you have the hygiene, you have, the exam, you have everything else that incorporates into that. And, if it's...
No, that is just a retention cost.
That's just, no. Oh.
That is just to get them through walk to the door.
Wow.
That is just to get them through walk through the door, because remember, if we're spending X amount of dollars in marketing and we're getting 40 to 50 new patients per se, you just divide the amount of new patients versus how much you spend in marketing.
I see where you're
and
going
that is your acquisition cost.
Yep. I see where you're going with this.
So, we have this huge challenge now going on where, as an owner, what do? Do you tell the employees that you can't give them a raise and you risk losing them? Do you raise the prices on your clients?
That's a difficult decision. And I think that, you used the word hybrid in the beginning. I think it might be a hybrid decision. I think it might be a fluent decision. Maybe you raise prices on some items, keep some items stable, and, maybe you, I hate to say it this way, but maybe you give some employees raises and others you gotta push back.
That's great. I think what we need to do is what I recommend everybody to do is you got to stand out of the bunch, right? So you got to make your experience the best experience possible. And at this point, if you have an employee that is not giving you what you need and you find the better candidate, I'm sorry, but you got to move forward with that other candidate, because we are like at pretty much survival right now when it comes to owning a business. And the times are only going to get harder.
We had a podcast a while back where we discussed how much productivity each team member brings to the organization. Do you remember what that number was?
No, not exactly.
I can't remember either, but I think that's an important thing to understand too, is, and it all influences everything. Right?
Yeah, we as humans, we all tend to not want to grow,
Yeah.
and we stay stagnant, and we're like, okay, we're doing enough. What people need to understand is like every single month, things are rising, and they're not rising slowly; they're rising very, very fast. So I don't expect this to go away for a while. So we're trying to reinvent it and figure out how we're going to be able to retain our patients or our clients.
I think that you definitely have to do some data analysis, and you really have to dive into your business. And part of that is, I think maybe it's a situation where you need to build monthly budgets and understand, your forecasted revenue versus your expenses,
Yeah.
and understand all that stuff as well, because you just can't, flip a coin. Oh, it's tails. We're raising prices today.
Yeah, you definitely can, and you're going to lose a lot of clients.
Yeah.
But you got to make a decision. Do you want to raise the prices and lose maybe 20% of your clients, but retain 80% of them, and keep all your employees that you know for many years? Or do you go ahead and seek employees that are more affordable, but they're not as talented? So, it's a juggling act.
For sure. It's difficult because, you don't expect your team members to understand this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's all part of your thought process as an owner, and having those conversations with them. They're like, I'm bleeding for you. I'm bleeding for you. Where's my dough?
Exactly.
And you're like, listen, it's bigger than that.
Yeah, when you look at your profit and losses and you're evaluating where you were, September of 2021 versus September of 2022, and you're like, oh my God, we collected more money, but our EBITDA has gone down. Then there's issues that you need to work on as an owner or as upper management to correct them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think that if you focus on retaining the patients by making an amazing customer service experience, taking care of them, working on patient referrals, I think that you can survive these hard times. And every single day, you got to be your best version of yourself.
I agree. And it's a situation where, I think coaching is pretty much 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to fall victim to people who have opportunity to improve or be consistent with the message. And you're always going to have to be on top of those guys to make sure they just don't understand.
No, they
don't
don't
understand this part of it.
It's 100%, 100%. Everybody in the last maybe 10 to 15 years that wanted to be an owner or operate a business, those times were very, very easy.
Yeah.
It was very easy, and I'm included in it. We are going to have to go pretty much at war right now because things are going to get harder and harder. And if you don't have your pen and paper together, you could go bankrupt very easily.
Yeah, you definitely have to be organized. You definitely have to watch your collections for sure in any business, making sure that your team's collecting the money, because that's like number one on the list.
Yeah, it's like Andy says in his podcast, you got to do 4 to 5 critical tasks a day.
Yeah.
So you got to identify where those critical tasks are. It's not checking your emails. It's not saying hi to all your employees. Those are not critical tasks.
You added a critical task this week, didn't you? Checking AR, right?
Yeah, checking my revenue cycle.
Yep.
Evaluating my 1 to 30, 60 to 90, and 90 plus.
And he's the owner of the organization, and he's doing that, folks.
Yeah, you just got to always be looking at your business in a granular level, because if not, it will fly. I mean, you will lose it.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
For sure.
And if you have the wrong employee in the wrong seat, you can lose it even quicker.
Yeah, and that's all part of, we're talking about patient retention here, but that's all part of it. Having people in the right place.
Yeah, no, we're talking about retention, and like you said, retention in general. But I think also what hits me a lot is with these uncertainties socioeconomically, like how do you reinvent yourself to continue with high new patients, to continue cash flowing, to continue to keep wages controlled? That is really what I'm, concerned about.
It's a valid concern. It's a valid concern for sure. I mean, you can offer all sorts of specials, and we've run into this issue down south where, everybody's running like, just come in and we'll pay you to come in.
I know, but it's like you said the other day, like us dentists, we've devalued ourselves.
Yes.
We've
No
been
disrespect.
No disrespect. we've devalued ourselves because, oh, Joe is doing $59 new patient exam. Well, guess what? I'm going to do it for $49. And by the time you know it, you've devalued. And then guess what? Now you have rising inflation where your hygienist is asking anywhere from $40 to $50 per hour. Right? What happened in Colorado with that group that we know in Colorado? I think it's like $80, $90 per hour for a hygienist.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think dentists need to understand, like, I mean, it is competition, but we're missing out. We're missing out on the opportunity to have a more stable, I don't want to say more stable business, but a more stable business.
Yeah, and like we were talking the other day, there's enough patients or customers to go around.
Yes.
Like nobody goes always to the same restaurant all the time. Nobody always goes to the same business to buy cigars. You know, people alter, and not everyone goes to the same, you know, dentist all the time, and it's okay.
And we can dive into this even more. Like, let's not cut each other on crowns. Let's not cut each other on implants. Let's not cut each other.
And let's not criticize each other.
Yeah.
Because then we're continuing to devalue the field, and that's why a lot of patients, and I'm sorry, I have a lot of passion for this because I'm still chair side, but there's a lot of patients that see us like mechanics.
Yep.
And we're offering healthcare. You know, this is your oral cavity. This is connected to your body. So we need to regain that control and be, you know, kind of get our respect back.
This is the rally cry for all the dentists out there. Let's get together. Let's go.
We got to get united. We got to get united, and we got to be one unit, because at the end of the day, you know, we're here to take care of our patients. But, you know, these uncertain times, you cannot go cutting people's heads off by doing crowns for $300. You're just not going to be able to make it.
No. And you're hurting yourself as well as everybody else around you, because then they got to do 300. And guess what? What happens is, and this is me talking from an operational standpoint, now you're submitting all these claims to insurance at a reduced UCR, right?
Yep.
And then that hurts, because when you go back to negotiate with, you know, Delta Dental or whomever, they're going to say, well, the market's dictating this price.
Yeah.
And it's dictating this price because why? Because everybody's submitting at this price.
That's correct. I mean, those fee-for-service practices, I'm not sure during these uncertain times how they're doing, but it's probably even more challenging. I was talking to my wife yesterday about it, and we were talking about fee-for-service practices. As you know, my friend is visiting from New York, and he just opened up his practice during COVID, was shut down, reopened, and now he's facing a recession. So he's like, man, this is really, really hard. He's like not sleeping at night. He's stressed. And, you know, we've gone through it. And it goes back to what I'm saying. Like, if you don't go ahead and reinvent yourself and have the best team possible, and you guys stand out, you might not make it during this time.
Yeah, I think that the experience is the most important thing. And everybody talks about the experience. Everybody thinks they have the secret sauce for the experience.
Yeah.
But realistically, I mean, I think everybody's patient experience is great on paper, but the execution is the area of opportunity.
Exactly. And I think you can get 100 patients or 100 customers to come through your business, but how many of them are you retaining?
Correct.
So it's very important to track that KPI, that key performance indicator, to figure out how many of them are you keeping.
Yep, well said.
Because if you're only keeping 20%, who cares? I mean, then you're wasting a lot of money on marketing. You're getting all these patients because of that free slice promotion. But how many, if your pizza sucks, you know what I mean?
Yep.
They're gonna leave.
For sure. Or the person at the cash register is
rude.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest turnoff on everybody, right?
Oh yeah. I mean,
that's
you can't be rude to people, but you know, it goes back to these newer generations where, you know, and I'm a millennial, but millennials are a great generation. People have a stigma that
really? Okay, yeah.
People have a stigma that millennials are not go-getters, and that is not true. We just reinvented ourselves, and you know, we use a lot more technology, and
that's true.
And but back to what I was saying, the morals of respect and values and, you know, being kind to elderly, you know, have disappeared.
Yes, and you know, and we said this a few minutes ago, like there's someone else right down the street doing the same thing.
That's right.
So, you know, that's got to be part of the retention too, is making sure that, like you've said this, and you said this from day one, you know, the patient experience, the customer, the client experience has to be 100% top grade.
And do whatever it takes to make it right.
Yeah,
and
do
then you
whatever it
need your
takes.
team aligned with that same vision you have, because you can be the owner. And we have offices, for example, in Central Florida. And if the assistant or the manager doesn't know that my concept and my vision is do whatever it takes to make it right, they're like, oh, no, this is the best we can do. And then you get an upset patient.
Yep. Yeah, let's not argue with patients. That's silly.
No, you can't. You can't argue with patients. The customer's always right.
Yes. Even
What
if
were you
they're-
going to say there?
Even if they're batshit crazy, the customer's still always right.
So, yeah, during these uncertain times, like I recommend everybody, you know, these are very uncertain times where you have unemployment at 3.5, 3.6%. You have a lot of jobs available, right? There's employee shortage, but the stock market has dropped 25 to 30% in the last 9 months. So the dollar has rise. You got the uncertainties in Great Britain. You know, I found out that Great Britain went to become one of the poorest countries in Europe.
That's insane. They used to be the big dog.
Yeah. So, you know, you got all these global uncertainties, but you know, you just got to stay focused on what you can control. What I mean by that is stay focused in controlling your business and your team and keeping them engaged and making sure you take care of your clients and your customers right.
I agree with that.
Do you have any last words?
Yeah, I have one last word. Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe and follow us on YouTube. This is Dr. Alex Plains. Thank you.